In this lecture, we're going to learn about switch with initializer. And that's really the same thing we have seen with if in the last lecture. We are only extending the concept to switch here. And if you look at our switch block here, the condition is going to be modified to contain an initialized variable. We're going to declare a variable and initialize it in place, and it is going to be available in any case inside the switch. And this is really what we have here. We can print the strength with which we are drawing with whatever tool is the current tool. And this is really the bulk of this. Let's head to Visual Studio Code and see this in action. Okay, here we are in our working directory. The current project is switch with initializer. We're going to grab our template files and bring them in place. So let's do that. And we're going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. So let's do that. Switch with initializer. We're going to open this. And we are going to open our main CPP file and take out whatever it is we don't need from this project. And to save on some typing, I am going to bring in code we had last time we talked about the switch statement. If you don't want to go there, you can grab the code from the resource section of this lecture here. You can copy the code, put it in here, and play with it. Okay, right now I have the code in my clipboard. I am going to select everything and paste in that code that we did in that lecture. And by the way, I am going to take this chance and show you something I don't think I showed you. I didn't try and get this default case to run. And to get this to run, you just have to pass something that you haven't tested for in here. So for example, we can pass in a 70, which is something we don't even have in our tools here. And if we try to run this, no case here is going to match the 70. So pan is 10 and we go all the way from 10 to 60, but we don't have a 70 matched in our cases here. So no case is going to match, and we're going to execute the default and we're going to print no match found. Let's try this pretty fast. We're going to run with GCC, to build with GCC, I should say. And we're going to bring up a terminal so that we can do things in the directory of this project here. We're going to do dir to see that we have our rooster executable. It is in here. If we run it, we're going to say no match found because the tool we passed isn't processed in the body of the switch block here. I hope this makes sense. And the default block here is going to execute when the thing you are testing for here is not matched in any of your cases. So now that we have this covered, let's cover what we want to really do in this lecture. Okay, we want to work with an initializer. And we already know how we could do that. So we're going to add in a double. We're going to call this strength. And we're going to initialize this whatever value we want. Let's put in a 3.56. And we're going to end this with a semicolon. If we do this, you're going to see that Visual Studio Code is going to get rid of these squiggly lines. This is a good sign. But we can access this variable in any block inside the switch body here. For example, we can print the strength with which we are drawing or writing with the currently selected tool. So we're going to do that pretty quick. We're going to say strength, and we're going to print that out. And we're going to close this pane on the left so that we have a chance to see everything here. So we're going to get rid of this additional stream output operator we had in here. And we're going to give this some space so that it is really easy to see. So what we're going to do is put this on any case that we print so that we can really see the strength. So I am going to change this pretty fast. I am just going to paste this in. For everything we have here, put in the strength information so that we can see it on the console. I'm going to do that pretty fast. And I think we don't need that on moving on here. These are enough. And if we build and run this, let's build and run. We're going to build with GCC. And we're going to run rooster. We're going to see no match found because we are still passing in a 70, but we can pass in a correct and legal tool that we have declared. For example, if we pass in eraser and build again and run, the build is good. We're going to see drawing shapes, strength is this value. We have this variable. It is accessible within this block of our switch statement here, but we can't really use it outside. If you try to print the strength here, or really even use it, let's try to increment it. If we do something like this, we're going to get a compiler error because we don't have the strength accessible outside this switch here. It is meant to be used inside the switch statement here, and this is what we're going to be using it for. Let's make sure we didn't have a typo in here, and we don't, and this is going to lead to a compiler error, and this is what we want because the strength variable here is meant to be used inside this block here, and it is where it is going to be usable. If you try to use it on the outside, you're going to get this compiler error. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture. I hope you found it interesting. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next lecture, we're going to revisit the concept of scope in the context of if statements. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.